Hello my dear friends, I'm Ksenia. Welcome to my channel St.Petersburg-me. In my last video I mentioned that I had something to sell to be able to pay a part of my mortgage for this apartment, and that something was a Kommunalka room in a Kommunalka apartment. And I suppose that not many of you know what a Kommunalka apartment is in Russia, and today you're gonna know. Basically, Kommunalka is a type of housing in Russia that was introduced after the Bolsheviks came to power in 1917 after the revolution, and later this type of housing was used by the USSR to provide at least some housing for people who didn't have a place to live at all. At first, apartments were expropriated from people who were enormously rich in the times of the Russian Empire and owned a 10 rooms apartment or even the whole tenement buildings. And the former owners got only one room in their former apartment, and the other rooms were distributed between other people, and sometimes those tenement apartment buildings belonged to people who escaped to Russia during the civil war in Russia, and the whole buildings were expropriated, and the former apartments were turned into Kommunalka apartments, and the whole rooms in those Kommunalka apartments were given to people or families.
Like this awesome apartment building that was constructed in 1877 by Lord Alexander Muruzin. This building was constructed as a tenement apartment building and was quite a technological breakthrough for that time. The building had a steam laundry, running water, and a heating system. There were 57 apartments and 28 bathrooms. There were 7 stores on the ground floor. The owner lived in the biggest 26 rooms apartment. I'm trying to guess the size of the living room. I think it was enormously big. At the time of the early USSR, such enormously big rooms were divided into several living spaces for several people, not by constructing walls, but by wardrobes. Of course, later, when the USSR became a state, each family or individual got a separate room. When the USSR collapsed, rich people got the opportunity to buy those apartments and to make them a place to live for only one family. As far as I know, several Kommunalkas still exist in this building.
When the USSR was organized, the problem of housing was a crucial issue, and the Soviet government offered to build shared apartments to be able to give places to live to as many people as possible. Such apartments consisted of several rooms, a toilet, a kitchen, and a bathroom, and of course a common hallway. So there were many apartments which consisted of 10, even 20 rooms, and I heard of a Kommunalka in St. Petersburg which consisted of 34 rooms. Of course, for such big apartments, they had more than one toilet or bathroom, and of course there was a big kitchen with several cooking stoves or several sinks. But of course, even 3 or 4 bathrooms and toilets are not enough for an apartment of 34 rooms. There are a lot of Soviet movies which can give you the idea of how this type of housing worked in the Soviet Union, and if you know the Russian language, you can watch them on YouTube. They are there, and those movies, for example, «Высота», «Весна на Заречной улице», «Подкидыш», and many others. One family or one individual got only one room for everybody in the family, and sometimes families got two rooms if those rooms were communicating rooms or adjacent rooms. I don't know which term is more understandable to you. So those adjacent rooms were typical for buildings that were constructed before the civil war in Russia, before 1917, and after the USSR was organized. They began constructing such apartments in which they had teeny tiny rooms, just enough to place a bed and a table, and that's it. That was made because they wanted to provide housing for as many people as possible. So they just divided those apartments into many rooms, constructed such apartments that consisted of many small rooms. People from different social classes used to get rooms in one shared apartment. For example, in one Kommunalka, a scientist, a blue-collar job person, and a white-collar job people could have lived, and of course it was not very comfortable because a scientist needed more silence. A blue-collar job person would need chatting all around, for example, and that of course was a reason to many conflicts between people in those shared apartments. And if you watch Soviet movies, you will see that it's a very common thing that people couldn't stand each other at all. Of course, there were friendly people in such apartments, and there were apartments where people were friendly to each other, where people brought up their children together because one room could give their child for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or a day to another room, and those children played together and everything was fine. But even my aunt, who is living here in St. Petersburg, told me a story that when she was living in such an apartment, Kommunalka apartment here in St. Petersburg in the times of the USSR, she had this very annoying neighbor who couldn't stand anyone around her and tried to make the lives of the neighbors of other neighbors just a nightmare. She said that it was not very comfortable living in such an apartment. This story is true. Not every shared apartment was friendly, had friendly neighbors. So that is how life was in these shared apartments at that time, and now too.
The Soviet Union doesn't exist for 30 years already, but shared apartments, which are called Kommunalkas in Russia, are more than alive. So in St. Petersburg there are 65,000 shared apartments. According to different information, in Moscow there are 80,000 families who live in shared apartments. So I don't know about the statistics in Moscow, because they count families, not the amount of shared apartments, but families who live in shared apartments. And I also have a room in a shared apartment. So my dear friends, I invite you to have a look at it. So let's go.
So here is my Kommunalka room. Its size is 19.45 square meters. So what I have here, so door, a wardrobe, a fridge, a table, which is good is two big windows, so the room is very bright with the light. And here I have a armchair and a sofa and a chair. So this is how my Kommunalka room looks like. So here it is. The ceiling is old with panels which are glued to the ceiling. So here is what I bought in 2013. So here is the apartment. So here is how the corridor looks. So this also my thing, and this shelf is also mine. So this is the entrance door. So this is also mine. So this part is mine, together with this shelves. And here is the long corridor. So here another room. So it belongs to another person which I don't know, but I know her, but she's not a relative of mine. This is her wardrobe, and here is one more room. So that's how Kommunalka apartments look like in Russia. And this room belongs to the city, to the government, and people who live there rent it out from the government. So you can see the difference. The door here and the door of people who bought this apartment, who is like a private, not belonging to state. So here. It's not mine. So here's our bathroom. We haven't done repair works here, so they are planned for this summer. So this part is mine. This is not mine. This is not mine, and this is a common electric stove. It's not mine. So the light comes from here. There is no light in here. I don't know how it happened, because a standard in Russia is having a lamp from the ceiling. So I don't know how it's happened that the lamp is here. So here is how Kommunalka apartment looks like. So now let me tell you about some numbers of this room in a shared apartment. So back in 2013, my mom, my dad, and I bought it with a mortgage. I took a mortgage, and my mom and my dad gave me the down payment and helped me to pay the mortgage out. Of course, if not for them, I would never be able to buy such a room at that time. The numbers are, the cost of this room was 1,770,000 rubles, which at the exchange rate on the date of my closing back in 2013 was, now let me tell you, $58,551. So with this exchange rate, it was $58,000 and $551. So I kept all the documents regarding my previous mortgage for the room in a shared apartment. So this is Annex 1 to the mortgage agreement. So here you can see the amount of the mortgage, 1,100,000 rubles. So it's 120 months of mortgage, and the percent rate is 14.25% annually. And the starting day is 22nd of February 2013. So I'm not lying. So our down payment was 670,000 rubles, which was $22,163, and my monthly payment, mortgage payment, was 17,450 rubles, which was equivalent to $577. You may think that, oh, it's so cheap. So okay, let me show you some numbers, some additional numbers. So my salary in 2013 was 27,840 rubles net, so after tax, which is equivalent to $920 per month. And at that time, my monthly rent was 12,500 rubles. It's only rent and like water bill or gas bill, and that's it. So it was equivalent to $413, and I also used to rent a 2-bedroom apartment with my friend, 1 bedroom for her and 1 bedroom for me. So the numbers were like that, and with that salary of $920 a month, I remember that all I could afford was like rent, food, transportation to work, and sometimes I can afford buying clothes, but such clothes as winter jacket, winter boots, I had to save for that kind of clothing. Of course, I had plans for this room in a shared apartment. I wanted to rent it out and to give the money to my mom, because my mom is a retired person who had to work additionally because her pension allowance is not ready to live. So to live on. So I planned to give her money, but I had to buy this apartment and take a new mortgage, and my mortgage is 4 times bigger than my previous mortgage, and I'm paying it alone. So So I had to sell my Soviet relic, Kommunalka shared room, Kommunalka shared apartment room. In this way I will be able to make my monthly payment more comfortable, because now it's not comfortable, and in terms of the present situation with work and with the situation in Russia overall. So it's not comfortable. It wasn't comfortable even before all this happened, so I have to make it more comfortable. So I have to sell my Kommunalka room and to pay a part of my mortgage. So my dear friends, that's what I have to tell you about Kommunalkas and my Kommunalka room. And I have to remind you that I'm preparing a course on Russian culture, and if you are interested, I made a survey for me to understand what would you like to learn, to study about Russian culture, and I prepared a special form which you can fill in. So I will be able to make this course as interesting and as full as I can do. So my dear friends, thank you so much for watching, thank you so much for being with me, and see you in the next video. Bye!